Hi everyone, I am Juan, and you can be whoever you want to be, and welcome back to my channel. So I have Alejandro Victoria here.
Hi.
Hey! And he is from the Yo Soy podcast. So welcome to
Well, thank you for having me.
channel.
I appreciate it.
Anytime. So Alejandro and I just did a little sit down as well, so that'll come out whenever it comes out. I'll keep you posted. But I really want to get to know you. So you kind of spoke with me, but I want to kind of get to learn the man behind the microphone.
Yes.
So tell me.
It's so weird too because we just spent like a half an hour or so talking, doing this the opposite way,
Yeah.
and now I'm like, oh, now I have to answer questions.
So tell me about Yo Soy. So where did you first get the idea of starting a podcast?
I had started a YouTube channel about over 2 years ago or so, and I thought to myself, at the time I was debating, do I want to start a podcast, a YouTube channel, and I chose YouTube because I felt like visuals are so important and representation. And then I decided, this is really hard. Like, this is a lot, and I don't know if you all understand the amount of work that goes into, like, you get to see a few minutes of a video, but there is so much footage and editing and setup. Like, there is a lot to this production, a lot of work. And so not that podcasting is easier, it's not, but it worked better for me and what I wanted to do and the conversations I wanted to have, the people I wanted to talk to, and the mobility, because it's hard to move a studio set. Like, essentially you have a studio set.
Yeah.
So it's hard to be mobile with that. So I chose to do a podcast. It's been, for me, the importance of having Latinx representation is really important, and our stories don't get told enough, and so that's why I wanted to do a podcast.
Yeah, so your medium is a microphone.
It is a
Mine
microphone.
is a camera. Yours is a microphone, so you found it definitely easier, at least for you.
Yeah, I mean, doing this with a full-time job, volunteering with another organization, then making content is really is hard, period, you know. But I chose to do a podcast because I can have those intimate conversations with people. It's very intimate. It's me, the other person, and a mic. That's it.
Yeah. And your focus is people.
Yes.
For Juan, but specifically Latinx people, starting with the name Yo Soy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why did you decide to really focus on people of color, Latinos, and really getting their story out there? What do you think is missing in the media?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think our people in our community stories get told enough times, you know, where I can interview a trans person of color, a Latina who's trans, and their experience, you know, is not the same as a white trans person. Same as a, you know, lesbian, or our stories are not the forefront of the conversation in the community. So I think that's one of the things that we need to get through YouTube, through podcasts, through these mediums that we have. Getting our stories and our visuals out into the community is really important to me.
Exactly, and getting those stories out to the community starts with getting stories from the community.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. What are some things that you've picked up on from the different stories that you've heard and the people that you've interviewed? What's one recurring theme from a lot of Latinos or Latinx people that you picked up on?
Courage. I would say that's a huge word. I've interviewed quite a few people so far, and the theme I've seen is courage. Whether it's in their community, growing up in a very Catholic, Latino, machismo community, and them having the courage to come out, or their courage to rise above obstacles that have been put upon them. That it's inspiring. Honestly, I think I get more out of interviewing people because it is so inspiring to talk to people and to hear, wow, like, and you have to come from a place of genuine curiosity, and that's what I love.
So tell me what direction you want to take your podcast in. Like, what is kind of a goal that you have for Yo Soy?
Yeah, it's a good question. So, for me, I have envisioned that, well, let me start this way. I go to conferences where other prides come together, and what I've noticed is, you know, there's people from Latin America there, and their experiences and what does it mean to put on a pride in South America, or in Mexico, or Central America, somewhere else there. And those stories just impact me, right? and then to see, like, to talk to them in Spanish and to be able to have those conversations, it's huge, right? So I have that exposure. I'm able to meet those types of people. And then I was like, okay, I want to do this podcast and travel with it. I would love to go around the United States, around Latin America, and interview people and their experiences of the LGBT community. So my goal one day, and if there's any sponsors out there who really want to, shameless plugs, but
sure. All the time.
all the time, but to travel Latin America and to make this podcast international, so that stories from around the world are being heard on a global stage. Because I think the diversity and inclusion piece is a problem, not just in Austin, not just in the United States, but I've seen it a problem everywhere in the world. People of color are not at the table. People of color are not included. And that's the reality of everywhere that I've seen. Now, there are places like Austin where we're trying to change it and we're making strides in it, but for the most part, I mean, it's pretty much like that.
Yeah, and I have definitely seen that.
Yeah.
For sure, and I think one thing that people need to kind of think about is that sometimes you're not offered a seat at the table. Sometimes you have to make a seat for yourself at the table, and that's kind of definitely what you've done, is make your seat at the table for the Latinx community, and that's because I know that you have an attachment to the community because you are part of the community and your family's from Mexico, correct?
Yeah, both my parents grew up in Mexico. I have two older siblings and one younger. My two older siblings were born in Mexico. My younger sister and I were born in the United States. So, and like my older brother has like the really dark skin, Mexican blood, and then I have the like Spanish lighter skin blood in me. So it's interesting how that works.
Yeah, have you found that because you're light-skinned, you have certain privileges?
There's a lot of privileges. I mean, I get by with being light-skinned Latino. I mean, I still can get by with people thinking I'm white, and a lot of people, I mean, even Latinos will say I'm white Latino. I'm like, girl.
Yeah. Have you found some privileges with the people that you've interviewed and being like, oh wow, that's not something I've ever had to deal with? I've learned that.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think recently I've done a few interviews with some trans Latinas, and being trans and their experiences, I'm like, well, I'm a cisgendered gay man. I have privileges through that, and not having to experience those things, which I listen to those interviews and going, wow, like that's intense, those stories.
Yeah, and it's eye-opening.
Yeah,
for sure. There's a lot of pain there that we don't realize, but then there's also like, you are a part of my community, how can I help you?
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think one way is exposing and telling these stories so that people know, oh my god, like I'm part of that community that this person feels guarded against.
And a lot of people don't realize that they do have a story to
Yes.
tell us. So they're like, no, I'm not.
I don't do anything.
I don't do anything. I'm like, no, for real, you have a story to tell, and like, it is our job to get that story out of you. That like, you just sit there, you be you, because we care about you because you're you. So yeah, you have a voice, a story to tell.
And use, I mean, I think that's, you and I like have chosen mediums to bring people's stories to the forefront and to get them out there, because we feel like people in our community don't have those stories or outputs for them, Yeah,
that like for us as
we're just a
artists,
messenger.
Yeah,
we're
exactly.
The messenger,
Like,
I think.
we are here. Our platforms are for you all.
Yeah.
To be able to tell your own stories. That like, don't be afraid to reach out to Alejandro. Don't be afraid to reach out to me at all. Like, we are here for the community.
Yeah.
Honestly.
And I think what's really, so we did an interview on my podcast, and we're doing this video interview. I think that collaboration and that like working together as a community is also inspiring. I think that's what it's all about. We were talking about people bickering in the community. This is what is important.
Exactly. Collaborating, supporting one another, and like what we do in our everyday life, but also that like support someone else's art.
Yes.
Like support drag, support podcasters, support vloggers,
YouTube videos, all of that.
Exactly.
It's awesome.
Yeah. So where can people find your podcast?
So you can go, you can find it on iTunes, you can find it on Google Play, you can find it on SoundCloud, you can go to, I know, right?
That's like, so exciting, yeah.
I know, when I first saw it on iTunes, I was like, what?
Yeah.
You know, it's going to new places, there's still like other things I need to do with it, but it's the 3 major ones right now. And then on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, just at Yo Soy Podcast, and you'll find us. And I like to, the visuals are really important, right? So I like to put a picture with every interview of the individual that we've interviewed, because people have to see who's behind that mic, or should see kind of, oh my god, they look like me, or they you know, sound like me, you know?
Exactly. So again, everyone, that is at Yo Soy Podcast, Facebook, Instagram, SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play. Definitely look it up. That is Yo Soy Podcast with Alejandro Victoria.
Yay.
I'm really excited to see where you take your podcast and just kind of seeing everything that you bring to the community. Thank you for
so
coming
much.
on my channel.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for doing a podcast interview too.
Anytime. So thank you everyone for watching, and as always, please make sure to subscribe, like, share, all that good stuff, and we'll definitely see you next time. Bye.
Bye.